This Celestial Scourge build does it all. You can be a healer while still providing 20k DPS to your group, having permanent alacrity for your party, and a lot of other boons, a lot of CC and utility, and a lot of healing and barrier and cleanses. It's insane. Everything in one kit. It's a really good build. Be sure to watch the whole video to not miss out on a thing to play this build to its fullest potential. And now, let's jump right in. Of course, like I just mentioned, this build is using full Celestial gear. You use full Celestial stats on every single piece, armor, trinket, and weapon. For your rune, you want to go with Trapper rune for maximum amount of condition damage. And if you can afford infusions, you would go with Expertise infusions. For your weapons, you want to run Dagger, Torch, and Pistol Warhorn. On your sigils, you want to go with Torment Sigil and Demon Sigil. If you need more healing, you can go for Water Sigil. If you need more boon duration, you can also go for Concentration Sigil. So you can mix and match whatever you like. This is the most offensive setup. You can also, if you can't keep in melee range because you need to do mechanics, the boss is moving around a lot, you can swap the Dagger for Scepter. That's also completely viable. For your relic, you want to go with Relic of the Fractal for maximum damage. But of course, you can also swap to every relic that is suited for your playstyle. So if you need more, for example, Swiftness Uptime or Condi Cleanse, like Fab works decently well. There are a lot of options that actually make this build even more supportive than it already is. But I would say Fractal is the best option because you play this build when you need a lot of damage, so Fractal makes sense. For utility and food, you want to go with Certified Oyster Soup with Mint Garnish. That gives you 45 to all attributes, so Celestial again, very good, and 10% outgoing healing. If you can't afford the Ascended version, you would go with probably the Birthday Blaster, which gives you 10 minutes of 40, I think, attributes without the outgoing healing modifier. So still a very good option. But this is a very nice additional healing output, so use that. If you want to go for very high amount of healing output, you would go with Bountiful Maintenance Oils on the utility consumables. But they are quite expensive, and if you play this build, you probably don't need that much healing, so you can go for more damage and go for Master Tuning Crystals. They're quite cheap and give you the most damage. So for the traits, you want to go with Curses, Blood Magic, and Scourge. In Curses, you get a lot of damage, just some bleeding, some nice precision and fury, then more condition damage based on your precision, because your Celestial actually have some precision as well, that helps a lot. And you get more crit chance, so you're actually quite close to crit capping as well. With this build, even you're plain Celestial, then you get some nice Torment on Disabling. Then you get some more Condis and recharge reduction on your corruption skills. You have quite a few of them. Then use Lingering Curse. That's, even though it's a Scepter trait, which is obviously helping the Scepter, it also gives you passive 200 Condi damage even if you're not using a Scepter. So that means that you can make use out of this trait even though you're not playing Scepter. If you play Scepter, of course, your 3 skill gets even better, so that makes a lot of sense here. And Blood Magic is your support trait line. You get when you dodge in combat, you get Regen to your allies and some bleeding. Always use that, always dodge that off cooldown. It's really nice. Then you get some nice Life Siphon for your allies and you, as well as the Overflowing Thirst. It's a somewhat new trait that gives you some Life Siphon for your allies as well if you use a Dagger skill. So that's very nice. So you get just some support on your Dagger as well. Then you get more healing to your allies, just baseline when you exit Shroud. And your healing to allies is increased by 10%. That's also helpful because you're, after all, a support. Don't underestimate this trait. You get a lot of healing power if you're really pressured. And that's the most important part here. Your allies around you will not lose health while they're downstat. So that means even though you don't rest them, for example, they do not bleed out. So that means that you can rest them more easily, or you can just come back to them in a later point and they don't bleed out if they don't take damage, and you can just wait 5 seconds without them getting any punishment for that. And then we have Transfusion. Even though this got really gutted the trait, you can't teleport anymore your allies, but you can still heal with your Shroud 4, and it revives nearby allies. And the revive is not to be underestimated. Even the healing is very good. 9 pulses, 500 healing. With the healing modifiers, it's actually 8k or something. It's actually really, really good. The revive pulses are also very helpful. It's 18%, almost 20% downstage heal. So you can almost, without pressing F, rest someone with Transfusion if they are standing close to you or lying close to you rather. So it's actually still a very good trait. Don't underestimate that. Then we have Scourge. Scourge gives you some very strong might application, Condi Cleanse when you grant Barrier to allies, which you of course want to do because Barrier is not only applied to your Manifest Sunshade, but also is important because every time you apply Barrier, you apply Alacrity as well to the target. So You should always try a lot of barrier skills, and all of them give might. Condi cleanse, it's really, really strong. And you get more concentration and expertise while you have an active shade. Always try to have at least one active shade. Then your Desert Shroud is here in the Sand Shroud, which is obviously really good. It's some kind of pulsing barrier and then a big barrier burst at the end. So that also helps to get the boons up, like protection and of course the alacrity. And then you get less damage reduction while you have an active shade. Should be always the case, so you're even more tanky. So it's really, really good trade. You can swap, for example, if you don't run Dagger, which can be the case if you swap Dagger for Scepter, then you would, for example, use either the cast lesser Signet of Vampirism one, Blood Bond, if you need more damage, or if you want more revive, you can go for Ritual of Life so that your Wells actually heal, or this one at least, the Well of Blood, actually revives allies, and you proc one passively if you press F. So both trades are valid, but don't go for that one, of course, if you're not playing with Dagger. So if you're playing Dagger, go for that one, or swap if you want. And if you're playing not Dagger, go for one of the upper or the bottom one. Now, quickly talk about the skills, because they're actually quite important. So your 2 skill and your 3 skill already mentioned, they are really nice from the lifesteal perspective. The 1 skill on Dagger is actually very helpful for life source generation, always used it. The 2 skill is also some nice healing for your allies. The 3 skill is some nice corruption of wounds and some nice immobilize. 4 skill and the 5 skill some nice damage. The 5 also is a knockdown and gives you might and your allies, so use that. And this is your, so to say, a little bit more CC set, because the 3 is a stun, the 4 is a fear, and it's also unblockable and does more Defiance Breaker damage. And the 5 skill is actually giving AoE swiftness, so that's really nice. So use it, of course, as well as cooldown. And this alone helps you to have 100% swiftness on your subgroup. It's really, really good. Then, of course, like I said, use your shade skills to not only apply barrier with your F1, F3, F5, but also get a lot of alacrity, nice cleanses. F4 gives some nice healing and also CC. The 2 skill is a Condi cleanse, or Condi conversion rather, and always have 1 shade active. For your healing skill, always use Well of Blood. It's really, really good for just a lot of healing for yourself and also for your allies, and if you have the trade, it's even reviving. Blood is power, giving a lot of might and a lot of damage, so always use that. Desiccate, always use that, I would say, because it's some nice damage, might and fury. Otherwise you might lack a bit of fury depending on how you play, and it's also helping a lot with the life force. And the last utility skill is quite open. You can use Trail of Anguish if you need stability for your subgroup. You can go for Spectral Grasp if you need a pull or some really nice CC. You can use even the Signet of Undeath for some nice ranged resurrection and passive life force. You can go for passive life force with the Summon Shadow Fiend. That's the best option for just passive life force, because this will generate a lot of life force. You can even use the portal if you need someone to teleport. You can also use the Aegis if you need it. So there are a lot of options here. You can see even the Corrosive Poison Cloud for projectile denial, or even Epidemic can be useful. So always keep swapping around what is currently needed for your party. And lastly, we have Plague Lance. It's the most damaging option for the lead slot. So if you need a lot of damage, go for that one. If you need a lot of CC, you would swap that to Summon Flesh Golem, because the Flesh Golem gives amazing CC as well. So don't greed too much for DPS, because you're after all still a healer. So please use CC if you need to. It helps your party way more than just having a few more DPS. When it comes to the rotation, it's quite simple actually, the rotation. You just use it, always have 1 shade up, and use your Plague Lance when you start the fight. Use your Dagger 2 and Dagger 3, and then always use your F5 and use your other shades of cooldown. If you can't generate enough life force, don't use the F2 of cooldown, only use the other shades. And always, like I said, Manifest Shade, Sand Shade should always be at least 1 of them up. So the loop would be after you did your opener, you should always use your 2 and 3 skill. Doesn't actually depend on the weapon set. You're always using 2 and 3. Then you do your 4 and a 5 and fill with auto attacks and other skills like shades, like your utility skills and the lead skill. And when the 2 and the 3 are back up, you cast them again and weapon swap. And then you do the 2 and 3 of the other weapon set, use the 4 and the 5 and the other filler skills. And when the 2 and the 3 are back up, you use them again and you weapon swap. So it's always like you weapon swap and do your 2 times the 2 and 3, and then you weapon swap again. So it's quite simple, the rotation actually, and you can of course alter that because you're a healer. You don't need to do the rotation perfectly because you want to heal rather, and always try to dodge if you have 2 dodges up so that you can permanently upkeep regeneration, and of course use your Blood is Power and the other utility skills when they are necessary. This build is a healer, so you should fill the Alacrity healing role with this build, but it's applying a lot of pressure for the fight as well, so it's giving you 20k DPS if you play it correctly, and that means that you fill the healer role and the Alacrity providing role while still doing a lot of DPS. That can be very helpful in not that hard fights that not have a lot of healing pressure for your team. If, for example, the healing pressure is very high, you should not play this build. You have some healing and you also have some barriers, so you can play that very easily as a healer. But if you have a really high damaging fight that needs a very dedicated healer, then play the Alacrity Heal Scourge or play another healer that is really dedicated to healing and uses full healing stats like Harrier. And I hope you have as much fun as I do with this build. If you do, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks a lot to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch and Patreon. Thanks Malice, thanks Lane, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video.